Everything changed the day my younger sister stood up at her son's first birthday party and announced that my husband was the real father of her child. Only 2 weeks had passed since I buried my husband after 38 wonderful years of marriage, and before I could even begin healing, she waived what she claimed was his final will and demanded half of our $800,000 home for her son. Everyone stared at me, expecting me to break down, but I almost laughed because I knew one important truth that made her entire story impossible. My name is Evelyn, and I met my husband Daniel nearly 40 years earlier at a church fundraiser. He was kind, honest, and devoted to helping others as a respected school principal. We dreamed of raising children together, but after years of painful infertility treatments, we accepted that our family would always be just the two of us. Instead of becoming parents, we poured our love into our students, nieces, nephews, and everyone around us. Daniel never once made me feel like I was missing anything because he always reminded me that our love was enough. My younger sister Rebecca was completely different. She constantly chased attention, jumped from one relationship to another, and always seemed jealous of everything I had. Whenever something good happened in my life, she wanted something bigger. Even after becoming pregnant with her son, she rarely acted like she wanted the responsibility of being a mother. Still, I supported her, babysat often, and loved my little nephew as if he were my own. 3 weeks before the birthday party, my world fell apart when Daniel suffered a massive heart attack and died in our garden. I barely had time to process my grief before Rebecca invited everyone to her son's birthday celebration. The atmosphere felt strange from the moment I arrived. Guests whispered behind my back and my parents looked nervous. Then Rebecca gathered everyone together and boldly claimed she had secretly been in love with Daniel. She announced that her son was actually his child and produced a document claiming Daniel had left half of our home to the boy. Instead of arguing, I calmly asked to see the will. One quick look told me everything. The legal language was wrong, the signature was poorly copied, and I knew immediately it was fake. I simply smiled, handed it back, and quietly left. Once I reached my car, I finally laughed through tears because Rebecca had no idea about the secret Daniel and I had protected for years. Several years earlier, Daniel had survived prostate cancer. Although the surgery saved his life, it permanently made it impossible for him to father children. Only our doctors, our lawyer, and I knew the truth because Daniel wanted to keep his medical history private. Before his surgery, he had also grown suspicious of Rebecca after she began asking strange questions about our finances and personal life. Acting on instinct, he updated his real will, stored medical records, documented every suspicious interaction, and placed everything inside a safety deposit box just in case something ever happened to him. The morning after the party, I opened that box. Inside were Daniel's real will, medical records proving Rebecca was lying, copies of her suspicious messages, and a heartfelt letter reminding me to protect myself if anyone ever tried to take advantage of my kindness. His final words gave me strength when I needed it most. With my lawyer, I hired a private investigator. Within days, we discovered Rebecca owed over $90,000, faced eviction, and had been abandoned by the real father of her son. Even worse, investigators uncovered messages proving she had planned the entire scheme before Daniel's funeral. She admitted to forging the will with help from a friend and believed stealing half my house would solve all her financial problems. When I confronted Rebecca with every piece of evidence, her confidence disappeared. She finally confessed that Daniel had never touched her and admitted she invented the entire affair out of jealousy and desperation. She expected prison, but I made a different choice. I refused to let her destroy Daniel's memory, yet I also refused to let my innocent nephew suffer because of his mother's terrible decisions. I offered Rebecca one final chance. She would publicly confess every lie, admit the will was fake, apologize for destroying Daniel's reputation, attend counseling, find steady work, and rebuild her life honestly. In return, I would help pay her debts and make sure my nephew had a safe future. She accepted every condition. At a family dinner, Rebecca confessed everything in front of our parents. They were horrified to learn how far jealousy had pushed her. For the first time in her life, she accepted responsibility instead of making excuses. Trust could never be fully restored, But honesty finally replaced years of lies. A year later, life looked very different. Rebecca kept her promises, found stable employment, and slowly became a better mother. My nephew grew healthier each month, and I remained an important part of his life. I created a scholarship in Daniel's honor so future teachers could continue the work he loved. Grief never disappeared, but neither did the love we shared. In the end, I realized that real strength is not found in revenge. It comes from protecting the truth, honoring the people we love, and refusing to let someone else's bitterness define our future.